and the way you remember that is there's only a few of them that do that, so we always remember Mad Dog, Maple, Ash, and Dogwood.
Okay.
Yep. And red maple, they have 3 points, one for each letter of the word red. They also turn red in the fall. But if you're thinking, that looks mapley, but not quite what I'm used to seeing because the Canadian flag has the sugar maple on, then you're close. It's the red maple. There's quite a variety of maples in this park. They also kind of have like chippy bark to them. And then every single maple tree is going to produce the helicopter that you're used to. Yep. I don't see any here, but they probably were here. They just got eaten.
At my house, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a ton of them at my house.
Yeah.
If you have a maple tree, you know.
Yeah.
Because first you get that little annoying flower,
Right.
and then you get the helicopter, and then you get the leaves. It won't quit.
Looks like a snake.
How long did your charge work on that?
160 minutes.
Watch out for the present.
Who would have done that?
Dogs.
That's a dog. People don't have to clean up there for their dogs in here.
They do.
Oh, they should.
Should. This is an oven bird calling again. It starts really quiet and gets really, 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 really loud.
What did you call it?
Oven bird?
Oven bird? What color is it?
Brown.
Brown. That's it?
Yep. We say it says teacher, 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 teacher.
Oh.
It's like that kid that's like that one. Me, 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 me. So you're seeing this petal here. This is the tulip poplar. Hopefully we'll see one of them blooming up close, but they always grow really straight and don't have many lower branches. So it's this one right there, called tulip poplar because their leaves also kind of resemble a tulip shape or a keystone shape, but then the flower, that orange flower, looks very much like a tulip that grows up at the top of the trees. And then it rains down its petals. But they're really pretty if you can see them, like yellow with a little hint of orange down there at the bottom. And there are many of them.
I take it those are native then?
Uh-huh. Also called the yellow poplar. Here's one too. There's a nicer leaf. Not as old. Nice. No.
Must be squirrels. Right there.
You can always count on a squirrel.
What is this?
This is a honeysuckle.
Any particular kind? 'Cause
No.
I must have 50 of them on my
Yeah,
property.
so they're very invasive. And they have, I always feel like their bark is kind
So-
of,
Somebody told me they were Hungarian honeysuckles, and I said, I never heard of such a thing.
honestly, we don't have many native honeysuckles in our forests. they've just all, people like them for their yard, so they've just all blown into our wild places.
Yeah. Like I say, I have 2 acres. I must have 50 of these.
Yep.
And right now they're covered with the honeysuckles.
And I bet it smells so good too.
Yeah, it does. But
I thought the honeysuckle was a vine. It's a tree.
well, it
Can
is
be.
too.
It can be. So
Oh.
this is a different variety that's
Oh.
more like a bush. I always think their shape is more like an umbrella. They kind of spread out, not
Yeah.
bushy like this. They can get pretty tall. Yeah, and then there are vines. There's a Japanese variety that vines around things. Yes. And then there's poison ivy, which is all over this tulip poplar down here. It's this hairy vine, and it's the leaves of green.
Now I understand poison ivy, but the sumac I don't understand. If you see that, point it out.
I will. So generally, the basic comment is we don't have much poison sumac. So
Oh.
if you see sumac on the highway, you see it everywhere. The bright red little cone of a flower that comes out. Yeah, that's staghorn sumac. It's not toxic to you. It's not going to hurt you. It is in the same family, but it's not poisonous to your skin. This one though, we say leaves of 3, let them be, you know that, but we also say don't be a dope and touch the rope.
Oh.
Because people will just be like, let me just tie my
See how
shoe.
fuzzy
Oh,
it
I
is.
Let me just tie my shoe right here, and they lean up against that, and they don't even realize that that's
Oh.
part of that.
That,
Yeah. So one way to manage that is to just cut off the bottom,
Yes.
and eventually it might fall off. But it's right here, perfect 3 leaves, all the way up. And it's actually gonna flower soon. It's kind of pretty. It's the only time I think it looks pretty. Is the flowers.
What's that vine?
That's Virginia creeper. So you can see we call that shape palmate leaves. They look like a palm or the palm of your hand. And it always has 5 leaflets. This one has 3. And it's also not hairy, like this. It's more red. But Virginia creeper is really pretty in the fall because it's one of the first to turn red. So I'm sure you've seen that. You've been walking and you saw this vine on a tree that was bright red. It's going to be that one. Yeah. Good comparison right there of the two. Yeah, that flower's pretty much done. You can hardly see it anymore. But this is a lower tulip poplar has some lower branches. You can kind of see the orangish yellow petals. Kind of they all cluster together, but most of them have fallen off already. Yeah, it would have been right up in here. So now this is going to make this almost looks like a pine cone, and then it drops really tiny little blades that have the seed on it. It's kind of almost a little bit like the helicopter. It's wind pollinated, so this kind of catches the air and keeps going. And now, not surprising at all, we have another maple that's by the water. Opposite leaves here. This is the silver maple. I always feel like their leaves just have more happening. Just more going on. This one's also being attacked by some sort of fungus. It's got a lot of spots on it. But they're called silver maple because that backside looks silvery. especially in the wind. They turn yellow in the fall, and they like to keep their feet wet. So they're generally going to be near some sort of wetland or water. Not to say always, but that's how they
Or
prefer it.
septic tank.
Or that would work.
I had one that for a relatively short time became 4 foot in diameter in the trunk. And I realized it was feeding off the end of the lateral of the septic tank.
I think we'll avoid the steep hill because it shouldn't be very muddy here. Generally this is squishy.
Yeah.
But we haven't had rain. I think we'll be fine. Yep. We'll be just fine. Here's a dogwood. So they make this when the flower disappears, which the flower was here when we were here. What was that, April?
Mm-hmm.
So it's done blooming and it makes this little berry cluster, which is cute. So right now it's just petalless and then it'll form berries.
So it's
Bright
already
red.
done blooming.
Yep. Dogwood, so mad dog again, right? So it has opposite leaves. They meet right at the same point. Hello. But this one you can always tell if you care about leaves or identifying them. The veins never make it to the margin. They curve out and away.
Close.
Yep, very close.
Very close.
But out and away from them.
Do you know how old the tree has to be before it gets flowers?
No, you're waiting on one.
I've just planted some and I haven't seen a flower in a
Yeah.
couple of years now.
Oh.
A couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a
Oh, okay.
twig
Oh,
when I
see.
planted
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
And now it's about 3 feet tall, but it hasn't had any flowers yet.
Well, it also has to do with pollinators, so you know.
Well, I have several, yeah.
Yeah, so that might be a factor too.
Although it's hard to find bees anymore.
Yeah. It's a scary thought. But yeah, we have several. It's really fun to come in mid-spring because they are just peppered throughout the dogwoods. Just we got some pink and some white. They'll just be blooming, and they're nice because they're not as tall, so they'll be at the lower canopy level.
Well, or other birds, lots cardinals and
Oh, look at here.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
good job, Bob.
nut.
That's it.
That's tulip.
Very
Tulip
pretty.
flower.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is what then later forms almost like a cone and then spirals off. That's really pretty there.
Yeah.
But you generally miss them. You find, like, I remember the first time I found them, I was just like, what is all over the ground and
Oh.
where did it come from? Because they just don't have any, they're just so tall and they don't have these lower branches.
That looks in good condition.
Yeah.
It must be pretty recent.
From the tulip tree.
Tulip poplar, yeah,
That, I never saw that. So pretty.
it is pretty. Yep. And you can see this, that little orange bit that hangs on.
Good eyes. You found that.
No, I wasn't really looking.
Just stumbled upon it.
That stumbled upon it. Yeah, that's.
Getting closer to them. Well, they're calling to each other. Here we got another lower understory tree. This one grows very similar to your honeysuckle, but it's called witch hazel.
Oh, that's witch hazel.
There's one here, one over there, behind you. This one is my favorite in the fall. It's a fall blooming flower. It's got this, it bursts open like a firework and has these tiny little yellow petals on it. Right now, nothing's happening but leaves. But they're also, it looks almost like a dogwood leaf. Pretty similar, but it's got this.
So is the witch
bit.
hazel that you can buy come from the bark?
Comes from the bark.
Bark,
Yep.
okay. So they have to strip the bark off and
It's not very big.
I,
Bark-wise.
yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how they harvest it, but it does
Yeah.
come from the
Okay.
inner bark. But yeah, it's an astringent, cleaner,
Right, yeah,
cleanser.
yeah.
Has an interesting smell to it. And then they also get these cones. They're starting right here. These little cones that kind of split open. See that right there? I just think they're so cute. Well, it's fun to see a fall blooming flowering tree because it's so uncommon that it's nice when you stumble upon one.
Mailman came.
This is a walnut tree, often confused with the tree of heaven now because of their shape. They got that like branching out bit. But this tree, as you know, produces obnoxious walnuts
Oh, yeah.
that litter your driveway and stain your hands and
kill other things.
and kill other things. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
They have a chemical in not only the leaves and the fruit, but pretty much anywhere the crown reaches or the roots touch, which is going to prevent hydrangeas from growing, azaleas, vegetables like tomatoes don't like it. It's called juglone. It's just a compound that they have within them that kind of prevents, it's almost like a natural weed deterrent, but sometimes it's affecting the things you actually want to be there. But yeah, little tiny one here.
Now, when you mentioned tree of heaven, is that the one that spotted lanterns like?
Yep.
Okay. And that's also toxic around the base, or not? No.
No,
Okay.
it's just obnoxious with a capital O.
The leaves, when it comes out, are like red or pink.
Yes, yep. This is going to be turning yellow in the fall. Tree of Heaven turns more white.
I cut down about 6 of them in my yard now.
Don't people like things made of walnut?
They definitely
So this is black walnut, and you can buy black walnuts, but they're a bit more bitter tasting. You're used to an English walnut, which we don't even have anymore. We just import. Yep. The ferns look pretty today.
Yeah.
Is it just common for those lower branches to look dead?
Yes.
But the tree is still healthy.
These are all Norway spruce, which is not a native from Norway, it's from Europe. And right now it's fun because you can see the new needles coming out and forming. They like these. This was an intentionally planted stand here by the former owners, which is why you're going to feel like the forest changed dramatically from where we just were. So this was during a time when lumber was, or the species was considered a viable source. Didn't pan out, so now they remain. But they are good habitats. Squirrels love them. This is where the red squirrels can be found. Yep. a great tree for noise cancellation and wind resistant because they're very strong and sturdy. So if there's a pine tree in your neighborhood, it's probably this one because it's so highly cultivated, but it's, in my opinion, the ugliest pine cone. Looks like a turd. So not very pretty. No one really wants to do anything with that, but they make those, tons of those, all around. So yep.
Make good telephone poles, wouldn't it?
Yes. There may be a few white pine and hemlock peppered in here, but not many. And then lower you can see there are several holly trees back here, American holly, like this one over here. Actually, this one, oh, cute. It's about to bloom. Here's a couple.
What's
Really
that
pretty.
tree called?
American holly. You're used to
holly.
holly leaves and
Oh, yeah.
bright red berries. Yeah, that's pretty. Yep. They just spread themselves out every once in a while.
So besides this stand that was put in here intentionally, are there other areas here then that where they planted?
Nope,
No.
just this one.
Rows of trees. And so people planted one after the other.
Yep.
Random.
Did the Detweiler donate this to them?
We can't remember if there was any money transaction. If there was, not a lot.
I guess the main thing is to save it, right?
Yeah. Imagine this being in your backyard. Hard to fathom.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to grow bamboo.
Those are really wide.
Yes.
That's good.
Yep. It even smells piney back here.
Are there maps for this park so you know where you're going? Or?
Yes. Hmm.
Wow. I'm surprised.
I think that's the spice bush swallowtail. I think. Another one. Piece of one. This is just some fun pileated woodpecker holes. They always make this rectangle shape, and It's just like they just like mulch the dead tree. Just leave this giant pile behind. It's pretty incredible what they do. They're just interested in eating bugs and things.
Do you know how long it takes them to drill that hole in
I
there?
feel like it's much shorter than you'd think. Yeah, I don't know though.
There's some round ones too.
Yes. But whenever you see one that you're like, that's just unusual, and
Yeah.
then you feel like there's just a pile of mulch down below, that's them. They're the largest woodpecker in North America. I always feel like they're like a pterodactyl when you see one. They're all
Yeah.
black, have some white on their belly, and then if they're a male, they have a red cap crest, so it sticks out in the back.
Yeah, because when you see some of those holes, you could swear that someone took a drill bit or something like that. Drill. It's so uniform.
Their brain actually has like a cushion inside, so that
Yeah.
extra padding for all the banging around.
So he doesn't get a concussion, right?
Yes.
Man, well, you know the round is by hearing them though. They're so noisy.
Mm-hmm.
People believe that their heads could put up with that kind of
Yeah.
hitting.
Look, we got some art in the wild.
Do
All
we?
those sticks.
Yeah.
So they do keep mowing the grass in parts.
Mm-hmm. Here's some white pines. This little stretch right here. I always feel like they look like hair. Bushy hair. They have needle clusters of 5. One for each letter in the word white. They're pretty long. Some of the more scrubby pines you find are about half and much thicker. These are very fine. Fine needles. Excellent source of vitamin C if you're trying to make a tea. Yep. They actually produce more vitamin C in the winter than they do in the summer. It's like they knew people needed it. Just trying to help us out.
Yeah.
Ow. I didn't even know we had any right here. What is this? This is, oh. Some sort of beech or birch. Not sure.
Stumped you, huh?
You did. You did. I could look it up. Not too confusing. It found just a little bit of sunlight, and then you can see in between the stands, just that little pocket, how it reverts back to what it was. It says multifloral rose, invasive vine that's blooming.
It's invasive. Oh,
Yep.
what a shame.
Yep. This is the sassafras.
Oh.
It has 3 different leaves. One that's just normal, the dinosaur foot,
Oh.
and the mitten,
Oh, yeah.
Ah, all on the same tree.
all on the same tree.
Tree.
Pretty cool. Yep, and it smells delicious. Yeah, you may have to break it up a couple times in your hands, but pretty nice, spicy smell. They're really pretty in the fall. Although Detweiler has quite a few at the top of the orange loop, and I always feel like they can't make up their minds. Some are more orange, some are red, some are a bit more yellow. So, fun one. Lots of teas were made out of the roots, and there's much controversy over that because every Boy Scout I've ever met has made sassafras root tea, but now it's like kind of frowned upon, so it's kind of funny. But yeah.
Why is it frowned upon?
I think it's not it's potentially detrimental to your digestive tract. Funny. What you learn and what you've always been doing.
Yeah, because it's been around a long time.
Yes. It's the neighbor's peacocks.
Oh, is that what that is there? Oh.
I haven't heard them in a while. I felt like they were gone. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Came out of hibernation.
Yeah. Here's a cherry. One of our native cherries. Looks like burnt potato chips on the bark. They got tiny leaves up there. But they're really pretty in the spring.
What kind is it?
You get the black cherry.
Cherry.
Oh.
Okay.
We don't have many of them. It's got some fun branches too.
Is there any oak trees in this place?
Yes, we passed a couple. I will find one for you. Michelle, are these all black cherries? No, these other ones are sassafras. Unless can't see that. Now this one is a cherry. That one's not.
It's amazing how you can look at trees like that and say what they are.
Same to me.
Especially the trunk, yeah.
That's a funny noise.
Yeah.
Yep. So our next stop. The easiest one to tell.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the name of it, shagbark?
Shagbark hickory. You can see the flowers here. Look like a caterpillar. They make a lot of pollen too. They just hang down. Not very pretty. You can see a couple. Yep. They have compound leaves, so that just means if you can see, they have one leaf at the very tip, always on their grouping, and it's usually pointed. And then they have, this one has 5 to 7 leaflets then in each section. And one of those is considered one maple leaf when you're doing tree ID. So maple leaves have simple leaves. This has compound leaves. Yep. You can take the bark and make a hickory syrup from it, which is pretty good. Essentially, you're just making smoky hickory water that you add sugar to. So it's not like you're tapping the tree to get syrup like you would a maple tree. It's completely different.
So you just soak it in water then, or?
So it's a baking and a boiling process. Yep. You bake the bark, probably to get anything off of it that might have been on there after you clean and scrub it really good. Yep.
Serve that at a holiday. Say to your family, this is it.
But you don't hurt the tree. It does generally exfoliate the bark, so you only need a couple pieces to do what you want to do too. But hickory, really good tree for smoking, all sorts of things. There are a great variety of hickory trees. It's the only shagbark I know of in the park, but there are a few that have a little peely bark, but not quite like this one. Yep. Something unique. Yep. Here's an oak tree. This one right here. Looks like a black oak. I don't generally give oak trees a first name because they crossbreed, and I feel like if you know an oak tree, that it's an oak tree, it's good enough. That's how I feel about it. You
I have
could
one
spend
that's about 3 feet in diameter, towers way over my house. It looks really sturdy, so I'm hoping it never falls. But it puts out all the little squiggly worm things.
Yep.
And then, of course, later on it does the acorns.
Lots of squirrels around.
A lot of squirrels. Yes.
Yeah.
Drive by dogs crazy.
Chipmunks, too.
Oh yeah, chipmunks.
Now
That
this
obviously
is
was planted by previous owner because it's so big.
our sad stretch of Tree of Heaven. So it's all along the trail here. We can take a closer look at one of them. This right here. It's these right here.
Pinkish or at the ends of the new growth. Oh,
You
yeah,
can
it's
see
colored.
a fossilized lanternfly. Trying to see if I can find an egg mass for you in case you don't know what they look like. This is just lichen, so that's not hurting anything.
Okay. I was curious about that.
Does that usually come on like north or south facing tree side?
Moss, it's usually on a north-facing tree.
So how did all these get here? Did somebody plant
Again,
them?
they were thought to be, well, it's how invasives always get introduced. If it's not one, it's generally because somebody thought it was pretty, so they planted it in their yard, and then it just naturally, these actually produce the same sort of helicopter seed that a maple tree produces. So they have quite a lot of seeds that get spread around. And then also, when you don't know anything and somebody says to you, oh, plant this tree, it's never going to fall down, it's hardy, it has no predators, it's not going to die of disease. If you don't know anything, that sounds like the perfect tree. And you say, yes, I want that.
If it didn't attract the lanternflies, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I don't see any, that's not a bad thing, that I can't find an egg mass. But this,
In a way, that's good, right?
yeah. Somebody maybe came through and scraped a bunch off. I'm sure they're here, I'm just not seeing any. But you come back, this will be wet with the honeydew. This stretch will be kind of shiny, and that's their poop. We've romanticized it by calling it honeydew, but that's their excrement. Their poop. Here's a different hickory. This little skinny one here. Not shaggy, but has that same leaf shape to it. There it goes. Barely open.
Another tulip.
Tulip poplar. I think this one is the pig nut hickory, and you can see if you were counting, I said there are 5 to 7 leaflets in the shagbark. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. It's different. And not close at all. Not very similar at all. But until a leaf starts looking like its own personality and not just a leaf to you, it will continue to just not stand out. But to me, I look up here at this tree and I say, oh, that's a hickory. I can tell by the pattern of the leaves and the way that it's growing. Here's this squaw root again, Bob. Bear corn. Remember that from the last time? This is not a flower, not a fungus. It's one of those weird parasite plants that, when I looked it up last time, it grows under oak trees because it parasitizes only oak roots. So this one right here is an oak tree. So there it is, right underneath it. It's a pretty weird looking thing. Does anyone eat that? Any animals or? I don't think so. Maybe insects might be interested in it. Yeah, it's one of those really weird things. Bear corn. to find what I don't see it yet. Oh, oh, that's pretty. That smells really good too. That's the American holly blooming. Trying to see how best to describe this. Well, I just have to point to it. They can't get back there. Okay, another maple that only grows in upland portions is the striped maple. So it's the one that's really full, and then you can see the helicopters hanging down from it right here. So they have this like stripe line down them, and they have this pretty large maple leaf, but I've never seen their helicopters before. They're pretty. They hang down like an ornament almost. That's nice. I just don't have one.
Some of these trees are so tall.
Yeah, I don't have one I can grab that's close by. Probably a woodpecker. I don't know. This one's all over this meadow. This is invasive autumn olive. It's really actually pretty on the underside of the leaf. Maybe still on the inside. Produces a berry in the autumn that has a pit in the middle like an olive, and it's called autumn olive.
That was convenient. Logical.
Yeah. It's
Sometimes
very
they're not.
small. It's like a burgundy color, and it's dotted with yellow little dots.
Okay.
If you want to go through the trouble of making jam with it, you can pop out all those tiny little pits I have
go to
not
the food
tried
store.
that yet. I have eaten one and I did not think it was very good. Everyone good if we go a little?
Sure.
Okay. This trail is usually squishy, but I think we'll be okay. Smells good. Now we're getting to more of like a little bit of an orchard. So there were a bunch of Bradford pears planted here, which you know is a banned species now because of how invasive it is. But very common in yards and, oh gosh, doctor's offices.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, yeah. Yep. And we got some white pines in here. Back here is where I saw the bear scat.
Okay.
Cool.
He's got his camera ready.
Yeah, good. He'll be our witness.
There you go. We'll be running faster. You'll want to take a video of us.
Yeah, I need content. Content.
We are 6 people strong. We can scare away a black bear.
That's right.
I do think. And then we have some sycamore trees back here, like this one. A little guy. You don't notice the bark until you look up taller. I always think it looks like a
Oh.
cowhide. White and
Yeah, looks like
peely
it's
and
green.
patchy and
What did you say it was?
sycamore. They're a little bit furry on the
The leaves get
underside.
much bigger though, don't they?
Yes, this one's small.
Okay, I was going to say I have a sycamore. The leaves are huge.
Yeah, it looks like the world's largest maple leaf. If you think you found the world's largest maple leaf, it's not. It's just a
Yeah.
sycamore leaf. Yep. Dragonfly. Yep, this is Clark's Valley Road. Yeah. Nice little stand of maples here. Yeah. Here's where it's very squishy usually, but I really feel like we're gonna be okay. But good place to look for tracks.
Here we go.
Yep.
That's something there.
Some deer tracks.
You go in front of us.
Yeah, there's a difference between squishy mud and just hard packed mud.
Correct. I'm glad I was right.
More deer.
This also freezes over. I walked this way not even thinking, and it was like a sheet of ice. Oh, it was so funny. It was like just like ice skating, trying to get up this little tiny hill. It was so funny. Now this is an ash tree, so still it's not gonna do well. Still have the emerald ash borer, but you can tell opposite again. Mad dogs, you saw all of them. You saw maple, ash, and dogwood. So this whole thing is considered one leaf, one maple leaf.
Ah.
Yep.
Even though-
Compound leaves.
Wow. Okay. Different design, huh?
Yeah, different from the hickory, slightly. Got anybody good over here? Dog,
Dog.
deer, human. That's it.
Yeah, I see some deer. Right?
Yep.
Do you have any ponds or wide rivers on this Detweiler Park?
I don't think so. Okay. Here's an old
Wow.
sycamore leaf.
That's pretty big.
Yep. Thousands of them.
Boy.
Thousands of them. It's a big tree. This was built 50 years ago, so I think a lot of these things were planted 50 years ago. So you hope those are deep rooted, so that they. Yes, yes. Because both of them would hit the house if they fell at it.
Some deer.
Yeah, I get lots of deer too.
Here's everyone's favorite sugar maple. Okay. Canadia. Generally 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the one that produces the largest quantity of sap. Still 1 gallon of sap.
It's like a red
Yes, this particular one.
stem.
Still, you still need 40 gallons of sap to yield 1 gallon of syrup, so. What kind of maple is that called? Sugar maple. Here's our state tree. Eastern hemlock. Their needles lie flat, pretty flat on there. This one gets buck rubbed pretty well because it's tinier one. redbud.
Oh, that is native, right?
Yeah. If you want a pretty flowering tree, this is the one. It's got heart-shaped leaves. And it's the one that makes the bright purplish pink flower that you see grow if you're driving on the highway and you see that in little pockets in the spring. That's this one.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, a guy sold us 2 of those, and they were just, sticks. $20 for both of them. This year he came back, and I said, you have to see the babies, how they're growing. And he says, I told somebody else this year, I need to get rid of like that.
Yeah.
He went to the nursery to price them. One was over $100.
Yeah.
The price jacked up so much.
Wow. Yep. And they make so many babies. They're in the pea family, so they produce like a pea pod of seeds. And they grow up everywhere, right underneath.
Civilization.
The really nice copper beech.
Oh,
Oh, that's big.
Oh man,
Good climbing tree.
look at how pretty the beech nut is before it turns brown.
Oh, it is pretty.
It's
Yeah.
burgundy.
Yeah,
Wow.
excellent. Yeah, it's called copper.
I think it's a copper beech. Either way, it's a non-native beech. So it could be a copper or a Eurasian beech, Asian beech. But you can always tell beech tree because it's got that perfectly smooth bark. And beech nuts when it decides to produce them. So the house is private property. We do have a tenant, but you can still do the trails and walk around.
Oh, I was wondering.
I just don't usually take that trail because it's so muddy.
Does the park own that house or not?
Yes.
Oh, they do. Oh, okay. Okay.
This is nice to like.
There you go.
It would be.
They should turn it into a bed and breakfast.
Yeah, if you want to pay $2,000 a month.
Oh,
2,000 a month?
so this belongs to the county? $2,000 a month for the house that big. That's not that bad.
It's all the parking you want.
And no neighbors almost.
Yeah.
That's my type of house.
And your bamboo can grow wherever it wants.
Well, no, I wouldn't have to grow any.
One time it came down to here and went down. Other time I just see stuff
It's a little pond.
Hmm.
but no beaver.
No?
No swimming? No ice skating? Well, we don't have to worry about ice skating today.
No. There's a turtle, right?
Yeah.
Out on that log.
Oh, yeah.
What? Oh, the turtle.
Okay.
Oh, he went in.
Yep.
Just when I was ready to
You're
get
ready
my
to
cell
see.
phone. We'll transplant some American lotus in here.
Mm. I don't know if anybody would be too happy about that.
No, probably not.
No, probably not.
Oh, yeah.
Little fish in there. Whales. Lots of frogs. I do a Kids Discover Pollywogs program here, and we catch all of the tadpoles.
Oh.
Especially in this pool. I like that stagnant, gross-looking water.
Mmm.
Is this skunk cabbage?
It is. Yep, just full. Blankets this whole area right here. Very stinky. If you break the leaves,